So last class, we were discussing about the scheduling algorithms. And yesterday I had given you an assignment on shortest job for scheduling algorithm. And it was that algorithm and the problem that I had given you has been done in your, I think you had covered all those problems corresponding to different algorithms like priority scheduling, round robin, shortest job first, etc. in your operating system class. And if you have any doubt, you can just ask. I'll post the answers if you want. So anyway, that was a university question which I had given you as assignment yesterday. Now let us start with the algorithm which we had stopped yesterday. So that is preemptive scheduling algorithm. I think I had completed this preemptive scheduling algorithm. If there are n tasks working, if there are n tasks in a queue, then the task will be executed based on its priority. That is, if task 1 has highest priority, then it will be executed, followed by task 2, which has the next highest priority, and so on, etc., until all the n tasks have been completed. And that is a preemptive scheduling algorithm. And I had discussed this model of preemptive scheduling. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, am I audible to you? Okay. So this was the model of preemptive scheduling algorithm, where if there is a task 2 was executing in this particular task was in execution, and whenever a higher priority task, that is when task 1 arrives, task 2 will be preempted, and then the context switches to task 1, which has highest priority. And when task 1 gets blocked, it returns back to task 2, because it was in the middle of the execution of task 2 that the context switching had occurred to a higher priority task 1. And so whenever this task 1 gets blocked, it will return back to task 2. And then task 2 will execute. And if task 2 gets blocked, it will go to task 3, and so on. Whenever this becomes comes to the unblocked state, and if the currently running task has lower priority than task 1, then again context switching occurs to task 1, and so on. Based on the priority, lower priority tasks will be preempted. And that context switching is shown in this figure. That is, initially task 1 was in execution, and in step 2 preemption occurred because higher priority task 1 had arrived, and task 1 executed for some time, and then it got blocked. It went to block state, and when it went to block state, the task 2 is again resumed, and task 2 starts its execution. When task 2 goes to block state, it will move on to task 3. When task 1 and task 2, which has higher priority, both are in block state, it will go to another task, lower priority task 3, which is in the ready queue, and it will get executed. And so this process goes on. Whenever a task with higher priority arrives, the currently running task, which has lower priority, will be preempted. And that is known as preemptive scheduling algorithm. Is it clear to you? 1 minute, 1 minute. Excuse me, 1 minute. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, okay. Thank you. So this figure shows the context switching of program counter to different tasks as per priority. And this shows a summary of all these steps we had discussed in this figure. That is what is happening in step 1, what happens in step 2, etc. I think I had explained it yesterday. So now let us see the example. See, this example, it is the same as the one we had discussed earlier. That is, there is a stream of coded messages arriving at port A of an embedded system, and it has to be decrypted, it has to be decrypted, encoded, and retransmitted to port B. This is the operation going on in that particular system. That is, there is a stream of coded messages arriving at port A of an embedded system, and this message has to be decrypted and encoded. After that, it has to be transmitted to port B. So the tasks that are involved in this process is as follows. That is task B1. We are naming it as B1, B2. You can name it as any. You can give even T1, T2, etc. So task B1, check for message at port A. Then the next task will read the message when it arrives. When a particular message arrives at port A, the task B2 will read the message. Then task B3 will then decrypt the message which is in the message queue, and then it will encode the message in the queue, and then it will retransmit the encoded message to port B. So these are the different tasks involved. And how the preemption algorithm, preemptive scheduling algorithm works is shown in this figure. That is, here we are considering the priority order in this way. That is, the priority of task B1 is greater than B2, and priority of B2 is greater than B3, etc. up to B4. Now, in this figure, we can see the context switching and the saved context during preemption. And that is, initially in this particular figure, we are assuming that the task that is currently executing is B3. We have reached the task B3, and B3 is in execution. So you can start from anywhere, but the figure shows that in this particular context, the task that is currently executed is B3. So B3 is executing means this is the symbol shown. The other box with a dashed line, it shows that it is in running state. Now the empty boxes, it shows that it has been initiated, but it is waiting for its turn. So B3 is running at this particular moment. And while B3 is running, another higher priority task arrives, that is B1. Here we said that B1 has higher priority than B2, which has higher priority than B3. So in this particular context, while B3 was executing, a higher priority task B1 has arrived. That is, some message has arrived at port A. That is B1. And when a message had arrived at port A, since it has highest priority, it should be executed. So in that case, task B3 has to be preempted. And in the next phase, in the next clock cycle, this task B3 goes to blocked state. So a question mark. Sorry, here there's a mistake. This, instead of tick here, it should be question mark. So the box with a question mark, it shows blocked state. A box with a question mark shows blocked state. So this B3 goes to blocked state. And now B1 will start its execution. Now, when B1 executes, so here there should be a line also when B1 is executing in the second phase. So this symbol has to come here, B1 with a line should be there. And then after during the next stage, that is after the next interrupt or the next clock cycle, B2 will go to finish state, because initially we said that it takes only 4 milliseconds to execute, and so it will go to finish state. And after finish state, the task T2 will be executed. Task B3 is in block state, so task B2 has highest priority, so it will get executed. And during the next stage, while it is executing, the context of B3, which is blocked, should be saved. Whichever task gets blocked, it should be saved. Now, in the next stage, B3 is getting executed because it is returning from block state, and B3 starts its execution, and the first two tasks has been completed. And in the next phase, in the next clock cycle, B1, B2, and B3 have been completed, and B4 gets its turn and it will start execution. Finally, this B4 also executes and completes within its clocks, within its time slice. And then when it completes its execution, the next task, B5, gets executed. While B4 is running, no other higher priority task has arrived, so it has completed its execution. Next again, it goes to B1. B1 starts execution, then it completes its task, then B2 starts running. And here, this B5, while B5 was executing, B1 has arrived, so it has gone to block state. And this goes on. When its turn reaches next, B5 will start execution. So this shows that whenever a higher priority task is in lower priority task is in execution, and if a higher priority task arrives, the lower priority task gets blocked, and the highest priority, the one has higher priority, will start execution. So this is preempted. The low priority task is preempted, and the higher one gets its turn. That is about preemptive scheduling algorithm. Is it clear? Hello? Is it clear to you? Can you hear me? No one is responding. Okay, Anushri. Okay. So that was the fourth algorithm. Now we are going to the fifth algorithm, and that is earliest deadline first precedence scheduling model, EDF precedence scheduling model. Earliest deadline first, EDF precedence scheduling model. Earliest deadline first, EDF. Now, most of the embedded systems are designed to meet its deadline. So the task should meet the deadline. So most of the algorithms, they give importance to deadline. And only those tasks that are capable of meeting its deadline will be considered, only then the system will be successful. So this is the most commonly used algorithm in embedded system, that is earliest deadline first precedence scheduling algorithm. And in this algorithm, a deadline, the tasks are prioritized based on its deadline. So now what is a deadline? Deadline is a period in which a task must finish. So suppose a task must finish within a particular time period. And if it finishes it, then we say that the task has met the deadline. But if it is not able to finish within the allotted time, specified time, then the task fails to meet its deadline. So it is a period, a deadline is a period in which a task must finish. Now in EDF algorithm, what it does is, a task which has the least deadline, that is the one that must execute and complete first, will be given the highest priority. That is the one that has little time left for completion must be scheduled first. The one that has little time to meet its deadline, that is only a few minutes left or a few milliseconds left to meet its deadline, then that should be executed first, instead of a task which has 10 milliseconds left to meet its deadline. We know that the one that has to be done first should be completed first. So the task which has the least deadline, remaining deadline, will be executed next. That is EDF algorithm. That is a task which has the least deadline will be that is left, the least deadline left will be executed first. Is it clear? So what is EDF algorithm? What is the full form of EDF? Anyone? Can anyone say that? Just type in your chat box. What is the full form of EDF? Okay, earliest deadline first. Very good, Abdul. So now in EDF algorithm, the EDF precedence, you have to consider the earliest deadline for which task should get the first precedence. When a task becomes ready to execute, the scheduler will first compute its deadline left at a scheduling point. So at each scheduling point, the scheduler will have to find out which task has the least deadline to be deadline left. And after identifying the task that has the least deadline first, it will select that particular task for execution. And that is how precedence is chosen by the scheduler. That is, when a task becomes ready, the scheduler will compute its deadline left at a scheduling point, and the one that has the least deadline period left, or least time left to meet the deadline, will be scheduled first. So, what is this scheduling point? Now, at each scheduling point, the scheduler will have to run and find out the deadline, the remaining time left. So scheduling point is an instance at which the scheduler blocks the running task and it recomputes the deadlines by running the EDF algorithm. And the EDF algorithm is executed to find out the task which has the earliest deadline. Earliest deadline means the one that has to complete first, the earliest deadline, and that is to be executed next. And so at each scheduling point, the EDF algorithm runs to find out the task that has the earliest deadline or the task that should complete first. And then the remaining deadline time is computed and the one that has the least time left will be executed next. That is EDF algorithm. So the EDF algorithm may use either of the following to maintain its task priorities. Either it can maintain a single priority queue into which task gets inserted after computing its deadline. That is, the EDF algorithm will maintain a single queue and into which the task will be inserted based on the remaining deadline, based on the time left for meeting its deadline. So, but the disadvantage is that as the number of tasks increases, the complexity also increases since it's maintaining a single queue. Now, another method that EDF algorithm uses is two or more priority queues can be used. Two or more priority queues can be used based on the deadline. So, the one that has highest deadline will be put into the highest priority queue. The one that has a particular deadline, an average deadline period will be put into another queue, and so on, depending on the deadline period, different queues can be maintained, and each of them has different. The highest priority queue will be the one which should include tasks which has the least deadline. So the least there are different priority queues. So if you want to select a particular task, just need to look at the highest priority queue. 1 minute, please. 1 minute. 1 minute. So EDF algorithm can be implemented in two ways, either using a single priority queue or you can use two or more priority queues based on the deadline period, so relative deadlines. So if the algorithm is implemented using a single priority queue, then the complexity will increase if the number of tasks increases. So to avoid that, the algorithm can use two or more priority queues and insert tasks into the queues based on the deadline period. So next, the precedence assignment in scheduling algorithm. How the precedence is assigned. Here we are using the least deadline. So in EDF precedence is the best strategy for scheduling tasks in embedded systems. So if suppose a question comes, explain the best strategy adopted for implementing tasks or for executing tasks in embedded systems, then the answer is EDF algorithm. Okay. Is it clear to you? Which is the best strategy that can be adopted to execute tasks in embedded systems? Which is the algorithm that can be used? Hello? Anyone? Which algorithm can be used? No one is listening? Which is the best algorithm that can be used? We have come across around 6 algorithms. And which is the best algorithm that can be used for embedded systems? Hello? Anyone? Mansur is passing some message. Okay. So I think you are tired and I think you didn't listen to what I said. Okay, let me complete this. So the best algorithm that can be chosen is EDF algorithm, and EDF precedence is the best strategy for scheduling tasks in embedded systems, since none of the tasks must miss its deadline. So all tasks are considered, all the deadlines are considered, and based on the deadlines, the tasks are executed. So precedence is made highest for a task that corresponds to an interrupt source that occurs earlier, and it will finish its deadline at the earliest. The one that has to become the one that has been initiated earlier and that one that has to be finished earlier will be given the highest precedence, and that is EDF algorithm. Next, the sixth one is rate monotonic scheduling algorithm. Rate monotonic scheduling algorithm. These are some simple algorithms. We are just going to an overall view, not going into the details because this much is mentioned. So the RMS computes. RMS is a rate monotonic scheduling. RMS scheduling algorithm. That is a rate monotonic scheduling algorithm. It computes the priorities P from the rate of occurrences of the task. Suppose a task occurs several times or frequently, then it is given the highest priority than a task which occurs with less frequency. So the one that occurs several times will be given highest priority than the one that occurs less frequently. So RMS computes priorities P from the rate of occurrences of tasks. That is, the task with the higher rate of occurrence is given the highest priority or the highest precedence. So that's all about rate monotonic. That is, the one that has higher rate of occurrence is given highest priority. That is, a task that happens many times is given the highest priority. So the disadvantage is that the tasks that occurs frequently may not be high priority, may not be that important. So the critical task, there can be critical tasks that has longer periods, but they will be given less priority. So critical tasks may be given less priority, and that is the disadvantage of this method. And also, it does not take into consideration aperiodic and sporadic tasks. That is, aperiodic tasks are those tasks that occurs that do not occur within specific periods. They occur randomly, and sporadic tasks are those tasks which occur for only some period of time, and then there is a gap between their occurrence, and then they happen at some other period of time. But when they occur most frequently. That is sporadic tasks. If say there are n tasks, it occurs from period T1 to T10, T1 to T10, and within T1 to T10, it may occur 5 times. Then there is a big gap. Then after some time, again when it starts occurring, it will occur frequently for some time and then stop. And likewise, it goes on. Such tasks are called sporadic tasks. And aperiodic tasks are those tasks that has less frequency of occurrence. Hello. So now these were the two disadvantages of rate monotonic algorithm. That is, it does not support aperiodic. Aperiodic means there is no specific time interval between which the task occurs. And sporadic tasks are those tasks which occurs at a particular moment in time frequently, but later it happens at some other time. And when it happens, when the event happens, it occurs frequently. So, two disadvantages. Then next is the seventh algorithm, that is fixed or static real-time scheduling model. Fixed or static real-time scheduling model. And next we have some more methods to discuss. I think you are not listening. Very few points, but these sections, they are not frequently asked of university exam, but since it's mentioned in the syllabus, I have to cover it. Okay. Hello. Are you listening? So then I will stop with this now. Hello.
Mr. Topaiko.
Hello. Did someone say anything? Did anyone say anything? I didn't hear what you said. I think you joined by 2:45 much earlier, and that's why I think you're tired. Isn't it? Hello? Shall I continue till 2:40? I'm not getting any response. Okay. Okay, then take your attendance. My time is still 2:40. I didn't understand what Fajar was asking. You asked some question, right? Is it enough means should I stop or should I continue? Okay. We'll stop. If you are not listening, then there is no point in the continuing. Madi. Okay. പറഞ്ഞു attendance പറഞ്ഞു. Attendance പറഞ്ഞു. Okay. Abhilash present. Number 2. Abhinav. Abhinav ഉണ്ടോ? Okay. Ansab ഉണ്ട്, Anushri ഉണ്ട്, Arjun ഉണ്ട്, Ashwin. Okay. Abdul. Prabina. Prabina absent. Fajr. Jason. Harris. Okay. Number 16, Midlaj. Number 16. 17. Number 16, absent. Number 17, present. Number 18. 20. Okay. 22. 23. 24. 26. 27. 27. Okay, Subin. Then 29. 30. 30. Okay, 31. 32. 31 absent, Ashwati. 31 absent. 32 Didna present, Harida. Okay. Amal Santosh. Okay, Harida present and Amal Santosh present. Okay. So absent is Fabina, Midhilaj and Ashwati. 3 of them are absent. Okay. Thank you very much.